all on a little bit about my story and how we really got to Persium and what we're trying to do. So this is a picture of me and my dad on a family holiday back in the day when I couldn't really grow a beard and I thought skinny jeans was a good look on me. And one thing that really stuck with me was basically how bad the air quality was in the Middle East and how badly it was affecting my family and my friends. You see, in countries around the world, they actually have pollution days where the government tells you not to take a step outside in order to then protect your health. I was really moved by this. I wanted to come up with a solution. So I started digging into the numbers, and quite frankly, they were absolutely staggering. I mean, air pollution is the #1 public health issue caused by climate change. More people die from poor air pollution every year than all forms of war, malaria, tuberculosis, and AIDS combined. But it's not just a public health issue. It's also an economic one. So it's costing the global economy about $5 trillion every year in basic public welfare costs. So this is people not being able to go to work, things like the stress on the NHS, things like pollution days and a lack of productivity. So we have to try and figure out ways that we can then tackle this. So the US EPA actually came out with a new study, and they said that for every pound you put into air pollution control, you get 30 pounds back downwind by unlocking that type of productivity within governments, cities, etc., etc. So we know air pollution is a massive problem, but how do we tackle something like this? So can I just get a raise of hands from everyone here? How certain are you about how effective the ULEZ is? Don't be shy, the ULEZ being the ultra-low emission zone. Not certain? Who thinks it's a bad idea? Okay, who thinks it's a good idea then? I like all of you. Good, cool. Okay, great. Well, there's also a problem about how effective the ULEZ is. So there's an uncertainty of what policies need to be put in place. When a policy is put in place, how do we know how effective that is? And if you don't have a return on investment, how do you politically defend something like this to the public? So that's where we come in at Persium. So we are developing the world's most powerful digital twinning platform for tackling air pollution. Now you may be thinking, Alex, what on earth is a digital twin? Well, it's a very exciting and new technology where essentially we build a 3D simulation of a given environment of a city. But it's not a static model. It's a living, breathing simulation that reacts to real-time data inputs. So for the first time ever, we can visualize air pollution within a given locality. We can then attribute its sources, its characteristics, and its hotspots. And then what we can do is simulate policies within the digital twin, and then evaluate and calculate what effect that has within a city on improving air quality. So how does a system like this work? Really simple. We've developed the Persium pod. It's the most advanced low-cost air quality sensor on the market. We deploy these in dense networks within cities, and they then gather the granular data that we need to then feed our digital twinning platform. So if we take a case study, let's say that a city would come to us and they say, look, Alex, we're going to put in £100 million to electrify our bus fleet. And we say, fantastic. Let's run that within the digital twin. Let's then model what effect that would have on air quality, then on public health, and then what that return on investment would be. We'd even be able to actually see what bus routes within the digital twin city are best affecting what parts of the city as well. So we're looking at the social equity side of things. So if you use the same metric as the US EPA, you put in 100 million into an electric bus fleet, you may be unlocking 3 billion for that city in public welfare. So more broadly, when we look at this, we're going to be looking at things such as smart cities. So smart cities essentially are cities that are based on big data, AI, and IoT sensors, Internet of Things. And there's going to be thousands of these sensors. Water quality, air quality, parking, traffic, transport, any of these, and they're all going to be communicating with each other, essentially. So if we look at some examples, with our Persium pods, what we do is we put them out into the field, and they would then communicate with traffic lights. So we would then pick up a pollution spike, and then the next thing that would happen is that the traffic light would then change its phasing so that we can then improve congestion. If we take things like smart streetlights, we have to put our sensors somewhere. It doesn't have to be air quality, it could be anything. And what we can do with smart streetlights actually is that when you walk closer towards them, they brighten, and when you walk away, they actually dim. So the idea behind that is you're saving electricity costs, carbon emissions, and actually just improving everything within that city. Imagine that you're driving around in your Tesla and you can't really find a parking space within the city. What would happen is that parking sensors throughout the city would then tell you where that parking space would be, whilst also our air quality sensors would be giving you real-time air quality information. And then finally, you'd even have smart waste management. So these would be sensors within rubbish bins that would then tell waste management companies how full that bin is, and then use AI for when it would actually be full at its most, so that we can be more efficient when we're going around. So why am I telling you all these different examples? Apart from them being actually quite cool, but the thing is that the UN has said by 2050, 60% of the global population are going to be living in cities. So we have to come up with more data-driven solutions in making our cities healthier, better, and just more habitable. But also another point of it is that we have to have synergy between different departments. The idea that you're going to have multiple sectors from multiple sensors all coming together and working with that synergy, because that's how we tackle air pollution within cities. So just to give you a little bit more about Persium, we focus mainly on air quality within smart cities. It's a cornerstone of smart cities, but it's very focused in that regard. And we actually have global traction at the moment. So we're in 30 different countries right now, communicating with a whole different bunch of ministries, and we're getting support from the UK Foreign Office as well as an innovative climate tech startup for their Global Britain strategy. We also have been recognized as being one of the top 6 startups in the UK from the Santander X National competition. We've been identified as being one of the best startups for air quality in the world, and we just recently received a Eureka Global Stars grant, which is actually the hardest and most prestigious grant you can get in Europe. So we're actually developing new and exciting and game-changing air quality technology. But just on a final note for everyone here, so out of everything that I've said, I want you all to take away this today when you go home. Clean air isn't just a privilege, it's a fundamental human right. It needs to be protected, maintained, and improved. And if we can't breathe, then we can't do anything. Thank you.